The stars look different today. Commander Lisa Grant pressed her face against the cold window of the USS Ranger and watched the distant planet Zephyria Prime spin slowly in the darkness. Something was wrong. Very wrong. "Commander, we're picking up massive energy signatures," said Lieutenant Dan Cooper from his station. His voice was tight with worry. "It's a whole fleet. They're surrounding the planet." Lisa moved to the main screen. What she saw made her stomach drop. Hundreds of alien ships filled the space around Zephyria Prime. They were huge, dark vessels that looked like giant knives floating in space. She had never seen ships like these before. "Are those Zephyrian ships?" asked Sergeant Amy Foster, looking over Lisa's shoulder. "No," Lisa said quietly. "The Zephyrians don't have ships like that. They're peaceful people. They grow food and make medicine. They don't build warships." The USS Ranger was a small ship built for watching and hiding. Lisa's job was to scout new areas of space and report back to Earth. 3 years ago, she had been part of the first team to meet the Zephyrians. They were kind aliens who looked like tall, thin people with blue skin and big eyes. They had shared their knowledge of farming and healing with humans. In return, humans had taught them about engines and computers. "Commander, I'm getting communications from the planet," said Cooper. "It's not good." Lisa put the message on the main speakers. Elder Morden S. voice filled the small bridge. He was the leader of the Zephyrians, and Lisa had met him before. He was a gentle old alien who always smiled and offered tea to visitors. "To any friends who can hear this message," Morden's voice was shaking, "we are under attack. Unknown ships appeared in our system 6 hours ago. They demanded we surrender. When we tried to talk, they began shooting. Our shields are failing. Our cities are burning. We have no weapons to fight back. If anyone receives this message, please help us. We are dying." The message ended. Lisa stared at the screen, her hands clenched into fists. The Zephyrians were their friends. They had never hurt anyone. They spent their days growing beautiful gardens and creating art. They had children and families just like humans did. "Commander, look at this," Cooper said, pointing to his screen. "The alien fleet is moving into attack formation. Those are definitely not friendly ships." Lisa watched as the massive alien vessels spread out around the planet. Each ship was 10 times bigger than the USS Ranger. They looked like they were built for one purpose: destroying other ships and planets. "Can we contact them?" Lisa asked. "I'm trying," Cooper said. "Wait, I'm getting something." "It's a broadcast from the lead ship." A new voice filled the bridge. It was deep and harsh, speaking in broken English. "I am Admiral Vexstar of the Kardash Empire. The weak creatures on this planet have been judged unworthy. They will be removed so that stronger beings may use this world. Any who try to help them will share their fate." Lisa felt anger rise in her chest. "The Kardash Empire? Who are they?" "Unknown species, Commander," Cooper said, checking his computer. "No records of them in our database. But they're definitely not friendly." On the screen, Lisa watched as the first alien ships began firing at the planet. Bright beams of energy hit the surface, creating huge explosions. Even from space, she could see the fires spreading across the continents. "Our friends are down there," whispered Foster. "All those families we met? The children who showed us their artwork. The farmers who taught us how to grow those amazing fruits." Lisa's mind raced. The USS Ranger was just one small ship. The alien fleet had hundreds of massive warships. There was no way they could fight them. But she couldn't just watch her friends die. "Cooper, start recording everything," she ordered. "Full scans of their ships, their weapons, their formation, everything." "Yes, Commander, but what are we going to do?" Lisa looked at the planet again. More explosions lit up the surface. Cities that had stood for thousands of years were turning into burning ruins. The Zephyrians had never hurt anyone. They had welcomed humans with open arms and shared everything they had. "We're going to get help," Lisa said. "Foster, prepare a message drone. Priority Alpha, address it to Admiral Morrison at Terra Station. What should the message say?" Foster asked. Lisa thought for a moment. Tell him our friends are dying. Tell him we found a species that destroys peaceful worlds for fun. Tell him we need the fleet, all of it. As Foster prepared the message, Lisa watched the alien ships continue their attack. The Kardash seemed to be enjoying themselves. They were taking their time, destroying one city at a time instead of finishing quickly. Commander, Cooper said, I'm picking up more transmissions from the planet. Zephyrian emergency broadcasts? They're calling for help, but there's no one to answer. Lisa closed her eyes. She remembered Elder Morden showing her his garden. He had been so proud of the flowers he grew. He had picked one and given it to her as a gift. She still had it, pressed between the pages of her journal. How long until the message drone reaches Terra Station? She asked. 18 hours at maximum speed, Foster replied. Lisa looked at the planet again. 18 hours might be too long. But it was the only chance the Zephyrians had. The only chance any of them had. Send the message, she ordered. And pray that Admiral Morrison gets it in time. The small drone shot away from the USS Ranger, carrying humanity's first call for help in their new galaxy. Lisa watched it disappear into the darkness, hoping it would reach Admiral Morrison before it was too late on the planet below. The Zephyrians continued to die while the Kardash celebrated their easy victory, but they had made one mistake. They had hurt humanity's friends, and humans never forgot their friends. Admiral Jake Morrison was drinking his morning coffee when the alarm went off. The sound echoed through Terra Station, humanity's biggest military base floating in space near Earth. He set down his cup and rushed to the command center. What's the emergency? He asked as he entered the busy room. Priority Alpha message from Commander Grant's scout ship, said Captain Nina Walsh, his second in command. Sir, you need to see this right away. Morrison took the message tablet and read it quickly. His face grew dark as he read about the attack on Zephyria Prime. The Zephyrians were good people. They had been humanity's first peaceful contact with aliens. They had shared their knowledge freely and asked for nothing in return except friendship. How long ago did this message arrive? Morrison asked. 10 minutes ago, sir. The message is 18 hours old, so the attack has been going on for at least that long. Morrison looked at the star map on the big screen. Zephyria Prime was far away, but not too far for the human fleet to reach. The problem was time. Every minute they waited, more Zephyrians died. Get me Dr. Kevin Stone, Morrison ordered, and call all ship captains for an emergency meeting. We're going to war. Dr. Stone arrived within minutes. He was a tall, thin man who studied alien life forms. He had spent months on Zephyria Prime, learning about their culture and helping them understand human technology. His face was pale when he entered the command center. Admiral, please tell me we're going to help them, he said. We are, Morrison replied. Tell me everything I need to know about the Zephyrians. Stone pulled up images on the screen. Pictures of beautiful blue-skinned aliens working in gardens, teaching human children how to grow strange fruits and creating amazing art with their long, graceful fingers. They're completely peaceful, Stone explained. They have no weapons, no military. They believe that violence is wrong. They've never had a war in their entire history. They solve problems by talking and sharing, Morrison nodded. What about their technology? They're very advanced in medicine and farming. They can grow food in any soil and cure diseases we've never seen before, but they have no weapons technology. Their ships are built for exploration and trade, not fighting. The ship captains began arriving in the command center. Morrison looked around at the faces of his commanders. These were good people, experienced fighters who had kept Earth safe for years. Now they faced their biggest challenge yet. Listen up, Morrison said. Our friends are dying. A species called the Kardash Empire is attacking Zephyria Prime. They're destroying cities and killing innocent people. We're going to stop them. Captain Ross Newman raised his hand. Sir, what do we know about these Kardash? Not much, Morrison admitted. They have a large fleet of heavy ships. They seem to enjoy destroying peaceful worlds. Commander Grant is still watching them, sending us updates? Captain Helen Brooks looked worried. Sir, how many ships do they Have? Morrison checked the latest report from Grant. Over 200 large warships, plus smaller ships. It's a full invasion fleet. The room went quiet. Humanity's fleet was strong, but they had never faced an enemy this big. Most of their battles had been against pirates or small raiders. "What are your orders, Admiral?" asked Captain Walsh. Morrison looked at the star map again. "We're taking the entire fleet, every ship that can fly and fight. We leave in 4 hours." "Sir," said Captain Newman, 4 hours isn't much time to prepare for a battle this big." "It's all the time we have," Morrison replied. "Every hour we wait, more Zephyrians die. These people trusted us. They welcomed us as friends. We can't let them down." Dr. Stone stepped forward. "Admiral, you need to understand something. The Zephyrians have families, children. They have a rich culture that goes back thousands of years. If we lose them, the galaxy loses something beautiful that can never be replaced." Morrison nodded. "I understand, Doctor. That's why we're going to save them." As the captains left to prepare their ships, Morrison stayed behind with Walsh and Stone. He looked at the pictures of Zephyrian families on the screen. Children playing in gardens, parents teaching them how to make music, elders sharing stories. Under strange alien trees. "Nina, how many ships can we get ready in 4 hours?" he asked. Walsh checked her computer. 400 ships, including the new dreadnoughts. "It's the biggest fleet we've ever put together. Is it enough?" Morrison asked. Walsh looked at the reports from Grant's ship. "The Kardash ships are much bigger than ours. But our ships are faster and our weapons are more advanced. It will be close." Morrison thought about the Zephyrian elder who had given him a small sculpture as a gift. It was made from a blue stone that only grew on their planet. The old alien had said it was a symbol of friendship between their peoples. "Sir," Stone said quietly, "there's something else. The Zephyrians don't understand violence. They've never seen war. They're probably terrified and confused. They don't know how to fight or hide." Morrison's jaw tightened. "Then we'll fight for them. Get me a direct communication link to Commander Grant." A few minutes later, Grant's face appeared on the screen. She looked tired and angry. "Admiral, the situation is getting worse. The Kardash are taking their time, destroying one city at a time. They seem to be enjoying it. We're coming, Commander. The entire fleet, hold position and keep sending updates." "Yes, sir." "Admiral, there's something else." The Kardash commander sent another message. "He's bragging about how easy this conquest is. He says peaceful species deserve to die because they're weak." Morrison felt anger rise in his chest. "We'll see who's weak when we arrive." Morrison out. He turned to Walsh and Stone. "Gentlemen, we're about to show the galaxy what happens when someone hurts our friends. Get every ship ready. We're going to teach the Kardash Empire a lesson they'll never forget." As alarms sounded throughout Terra Station, hundreds of human ships began preparing for the longest journey they had ever made. They were going to war to save their friends, and nothing would stop them. Captain Nina Walsh gripped her chair as the USS Defiant dropped out of hyperspace. The sight before her made her sick to her stomach. Zephyria Prime was burning. Huge fires covered entire continents, and thick smoke filled the atmosphere. The beautiful blue and green world she had visited 2 years ago was now orange and black. "Captain, I'm counting 230 Kardash ships," reported Lieutenant Dan Cooper from the USS Ranger, which had joined her advance force. "They're spread out in attack formation around the planet." Walsh looked at her small fleet, 12 ships, against more than 200 alien warships. The Kardash vessels were enormous, each one bigger than 3 human ships put together. They looked like giant metal sharks floating in space. "Ma'am, we're getting a transmission from the planet," said her communications officer, Sergeant Paul Davis. "It's Elder Morden." The main screen flickered and the face of the old Zephyrian appeared. He looked terrible. His blue skin was pale and his large eyes were filled with tears. Behind him, Walsh could see smoke and fire. "Human friends," Morden said in his gentle voice. "Thank you for coming. But I fear you are too late. Half our cities are gone. Millions of our people are dead. The Kardash commander says he will finish us by tomorrow." Walsh felt anger burning in her chest. Elder, we're here to help. Can you get your people to safe places? We have some underground shelters, but not enough. The Kardash keep shooting at anything that moves. Our children are so afraid. Before Walsh could answer, another voice broke into the transmission. It was harsh and full of cruelty. What is this? More insects come to die? The screen changed to show a massive alien. Admiral Vexstar was twice the size of a human, with gray skin and sharp teeth. His eyes were yellow and cold. He wore a black uniform covered in medals and weapons. I am Admiral Vexstar of the Kardash Empire, he said. You are in claimed territory. Leave now or join the weak creatures on the planet. Walsh stood up straight. I am Captain Nina Walsh of the United Earth Fleet. We're here for our friends. Stop your attack and leave the system, Vexstar laughed. It was a horrible sound like metal scraping on stone. Your friends? These pathetic creatures, they have no weapons, no courage. They beg for mercy like children. They deserve to die. The Zephyrians are peaceful people, Walsh said. They've never hurt anyone. You're committing murder? Murder? Vexstar's laugh got louder. This is conquest. The strong take from the weak. It is the way of the galaxy. Your tiny ships prove you are also weak. I will destroy you after I finish with the planet. You can try, Walsh said. Vexstar looked at her with surprise. You dare challenge the Kardash Empire? Look at your ships. They are toys compared to my fleet. I have conquered 17 worlds. I have destroyed species stronger than yours. Walsh cut the transmission and turned to her officers. All ships, prepare for rescue operations. We're going to save as many Zephyrians as we can. Captain, Cooper said from the Ranger, the Kardash are moving. 6 ships are heading our way. Walsh watched as the alien ships approached. Each one was massive, bristling with weapons. Her 12 ships looked like small birds next to giant eagles. All ships, attack pattern Delta, use your speed. Don't let them surround you. The human ships moved quickly, darting between the larger Kardash vessels. The aliens' weapons were powerful, but they were slow to turn. The human ships were built for speed and quick movements. Captain Amy Foster aboard the USS Valiant spoke over the radio. We're going in. The Zephyrians have evacuation ships trying to launch from the northern continent. The Kardash are trying to stop them. Walsh watched as Foster's ship dove toward the planet. The Valiant was fast, but 3 Kardash ships were chasing it. Green energy beams lit up the space around the small human vessel. Foster, you have company, Walsh warned. I see them. Beginning rescue operations now. On the planet's surface, Walsh could see small Zephyrian ships trying to escape. They were slow transport vessels not built for combat. Families were packed inside, trying to flee the destruction. The USS Valiant reached the first transport ship and began escorting it to safety. But the Kardash were getting closer. Their weapons were charging up for a killing shot. All ships, cover the Valiant, Walsh ordered. The human fleet attacked the Kardash ships, their weapons blazing. The alien vessels were tough, but the human weapons were designed to punch through heavy armor. One Kardash ship started to smoke and fall back. This is working, said Davis. We're actually hurting them. But there were too many enemy ships. More Kardash vessels were coming from around the planet. Soon, the human ships would be surrounded. Foster's voice crackled over the radio. I've got 50,000 Zephyrians on this transport. Getting them to safety. 2 more Kardash ships appeared, blocking the escape route. Their weapons were aimed at the helpless transport ship full of families. No, Foster shouted. I won't let you hurt them. The USS Valiant suddenly changed course, heading straight for the nearest Kardash ship. Walsh realized what Foster was planning. Amy, don't do it. That's suicide. Tell Admiral Morrison we bought him time, Foster replied. Take care of our friends. The USS Valiant crashed into the Kardash ship at full speed. The explosion was enormous, destroying both vessels. The transport ship escaped in the confusion, carrying 50,000 Zephyrian lives to safety. Walsh felt tears in her eyes. Foster had been her friend for 10 years. Now she was gone, but her sacrifice had saved thousands of innocent people. Captain, Cooper said quietly, "We've rescued about 200,000 Zephyrians, but there are still millions on the planet." Walsh looked at the burning world. The Kardash were angry now. They had lost a ship to the tiny human force. Admiral Vextar was sending more ships to destroy them. "All ships, fall back to the edge of the system," Walsh ordered. "We'll wait for Admiral Morrison." As the human ships retreated, Walsh sent a message to the main fleet. "Admiral, we've confirmed the situation. The Kardash are monsters. They enjoy killing innocent people. We saved who we could, but we need the fleet now. Captain Foster died saving 50,000 lives. Don't let her sacrifice be wasted." The small human force watched from a distance as the Kardash continued their attack on the planet, but something had changed. The aliens were no longer laughing. They had learned that humans would fight and die for their friends. Soon they would learn much more about humanity's true strength. The space near Zephyria Prime suddenly filled with bright flashes of light. Admiral Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of his flagship, the USS Thunder, as 400 human ships appeared from hyperspace. The largest fleet in human history had arrived, and Morrison's face was hard as stone. "Admiral," said Captain Ross Newman over the radio, "we can see the planet." "It's worse than the report said." Morrison looked at the burning world through the main screen. Whole continents were covered in fire. The beautiful blue oceans were now black with smoke and ash. This had been a peaceful world full of gardens and art. Now it looked like hell. "Sir, we're getting a transmission from the Kardash flagship," reported his communications officer. Admiral Vextar's ugly face appeared on the screen. He was smiling, showing his sharp teeth. "More insects arrived to die. How many ships do you think? You need to defeat the mighty Kardash Empire?" Morrison stepped forward. His voice was cold and angry. "I am Admiral Jake Morrison of the United Earth Fleet. You have attacked our friends. You have murdered innocent people. You have 10 minutes to surrender." Vextar laughed so hard his whole body shook. "Surrender? To you? Your ships are tiny. My fleet has conquered 17 worlds. We have destroyed species far stronger than yours." "You made one mistake," Morrison said. "You hurt our friends. Humans don't forgive that." "And we don't forget. Your friends?" Vextar's laugh turned into a snarl. "Those weak creatures begged for mercy. They cried like babies. They died like cowards. Soon you will join them." Morrison's jaw tightened. "You're about to learn something about humans. We protect our friends, no matter what the cost." He cut the transmission and turned to his fleet. "Commanders, all ships, battle formation. No mercy, no prisoners unless they surrender. Show them what happens when someone hurts our friends." The human fleet spread out in a complex pattern. The ships moved like a school of fish, each one knowing exactly where to go. The Kardash fleet was bigger, but the humans moved with perfect coordination. Captain Helen Brooks aboard the USS Falcon spoke over the radio. "Admiral, the Kardash are moving to surround us. They're trying to use their size advantage." "Let them try," Morrison replied. "Newman, take your squadron and hit their left flank. Brooks, you take the right. I want them confused and scared." The battle began with a massive explosion of light and sound. The Kardash ships fired their big guns, sending green energy beams across space. But the human ships were fast, darting between the shots like angry wasps. Captain Newman's squadron attacked first. The USS Thunderbolt led 20 ships in a diving attack on 3 Kardash cruisers. The alien ships were huge, but the human weapons were designed to punch through heavy armor. "Direct hits," Newman reported. "Their shields are down. Moving in for the kill." The Thunderbolt's guns blazed, and the first Kardash ship exploded in a ball of fire. The aliens had never seen weapons that powerful on ships so small. On the other side of the battle, Captain Brooks led her ships in a different kind of attack. Instead of shooting from far away, she brought her ships in close. "Very close. All ships, boarding formation," Brooks ordered. "We're going inside." The human ships latched onto the Kardash vessels like space pirates. Soldiers in combat suits cut through the alien hull and fought their way inside. The Kardash were big and strong, but the humans were faster and meaner. Colonel Beth Adams led the Marine assault teams. Her soldiers fought through the corridors of the alien ships with a fury that shocked the Kardash. The aliens had never faced enemies who fought this hard. "These humans are crazy," one Kardash officer screamed over their radio. "They don't retreat, they don't surrender, they just keep fighting." Commander Steve Taylor led the fighter squadrons. Hundreds of small, fast ships swarmed around the big Kardash vessels. The alien gunners couldn't hit targets that moved so quickly. "This is like fighting angry bees," Taylor said over the radio. "Hit them fast, hit them hard, and get out before they can react." The human fighters attacked the Kardash ships' weak points. They destroyed weapon systems, engines, and communication arrays. Each big alien ship became helpless as the small fighters cut it apart piece by piece. Admiral Morrison watched from his flagship as his fleet tore through the Kardash formation. The aliens were brave fighters, but they had never faced anything like this. Human tactics were unlike anything they had seen. "Sir," said his tactical officer, "the Kardash are trying to retreat. Their formation is breaking apart." Morrison smiled coldly. "Let some of them go. I want survivors to spread the word about what happens when you attack our friends." Admiral Vextar's voice crackled over the radio. "This is impossible. Your ships are too small. Your weapons are too weak. How are you winning?" Morrison opened a channel to the entire Kardash fleet. "You made a mistake, Admiral. You thought strength came from big ships and cruelty. But real strength comes from protecting those who trust you. Real strength comes from friendship and loyalty." The battle continued for 2 hours. One by one, the Kardash ships were destroyed or disabled. The aliens who had laughed at the small human ships were now running for their lives. Captain Brooks reported from inside a captured Kardash cruiser. "We've secured the ship, Admiral. The crew surrendered after we reached the bridge. They're terrified." "Of us." "Good," Morrison replied. "Show them we're not monsters like they are. Treat the prisoners well, but make sure they understand what happened here." As the battle ended, Morrison looked at the burning planet. The Kardash fleet was defeated, but millions of Zephyrians were still dead. The victory felt hollow. "Admiral," sighed Newman, "we've received a message from Elder Morden. He wants to thank us." Morrison nodded. "Tell him we're not done yet. We're going to help rebuild their world. And we're going to make sure this never happens again." The space around Zephyria Prime was now filled with floating wreckage from Kardash ships. The alien fleet that had seemed so powerful was now broken and scattered. Word would spread across the galaxy about the small species from a yellow star that had destroyed the mighty Kardash Empire, but for Morrison, the real work was just beginning. His friends needed help, and humans always helped their friends. The silence after the battle was strange. Admiral Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of his flagship, looking at the wreckage floating in space. Pieces of Kardash ships drifted past his window like broken toys. Of the 230 alien warships that had attacked Zephyria Prime, only 28 had escaped. "Admiral," said Captain Helen Brooks over the radio, "we've secured the Kardash flagship. Admiral Vextar is our prisoner." Morrison nodded. "Bring him to my ship. I want to talk to him." The battle was over, but the real work was just beginning. On the planet below, millions of Zephyrians were homeless and hurt. Their beautiful world was covered in ash and smoke. The humans had won the fight, but their friends still needed help. "Sir," said Dr. Kevin Stone, who had arrived with the fleet, "I'm getting reports from the planet. Zephyrians are coming out of their hiding places. They're asking for help." Morrison turned to his fleet commanders. "Newman, take your squadron and start search and rescue operations. Brooks, organize the medical teams. I want every human ship helping with relief efforts." Within hours, the human fleet transformed from a war machine into a rescue operation. Ships that had been firing weapons were now dropping supplies and medical equipment. Soldiers who had been fighting aliens were now helping Zephyrian families find food and shelter. Dr. Stone took his medical team to the planet's surface. The destruction was worse than anything he had ever seen. Entire cities had been turned into smoking ruins. But the Zephyrians were alive, and that was what mattered. "Dr. Stone," said Elder Morden, his voice weak but grateful. "You came back? You saved us." Stone knelt beside the old Zephyrian. Morden was hurt, but he would live. We promised we would be friends. Humans keep their promises. 2 hours later, Admiral Vexstar was brought to Morrison's ship. The alien was in chains, his black uniform torn and dirty. His yellow eyes were full of hate, but also something else. Fear. Morrison looked at the prisoner. Vexstar was still huge, twice the size of a human. But without his fleet and weapons, he looked smaller somehow. "You wanted to talk to me?" Vexstar snarled. "Come to laugh at your victory?" "No," Morrison said quietly. "I want to understand. Why did you attack them? The Zephyrians never hurt anyone. They have no weapons, no army. What did you gain by destroying their world?" Vexstar's laugh was bitter. "Gain? I gained a world. A world that can grow food for the Empire. The weak creatures were just in the way. You destroyed millions of lives for farmland? The strong take from the weak. It is the way of the galaxy. Your tiny species will learn this lesson soon?" Morrison shook his head. "You still don't understand. Size doesn't make you strong. Cruelty doesn't make you powerful. You lost because you underestimated us. Your ships are tiny," Vexstar said. "Your weapons are weak. How did you win?" Morrison sat down across from the alien. "We won because we had something you don't understand. We were fighting for our friends. Every human in that battle knew that innocent people were dying. Every human knew that we were the only hope for an entire species." "Friendship is weakness," Vexstar said. "Is it?" Morrison asked. "Your own ships abandoned you when the battle went bad. Your captains ran away to save themselves. But our captains stayed and fought. Captain Foster died to save 50,000 Zephyrians. She could have run away, but she chose to protect people she had never met." Vexstar was quiet for a moment. "Your tactics were different. Your ships moved like they were connected by invisible strings." "How?" "Practice," Morrison said. "We've been working together for years. We trust each other. When Captain Newman attacked your left flank, he knew that Captain Brooks would attack your right flank at the same time. We don't need to talk to each other because we know each other." "And your weapons?" Morrison smiled. "We designed them to fight enemies bigger than us. Humans have always been smaller than our enemies. We learned to be smart instead of strong." 3 days later, the human fleet was still working to help the Zephyrians. Engineering teams were rebuilding power plants and water systems. Medical teams were treating the injured. Supply ships were bringing food and medicine from Earth. Elder Morden stood with Morrison on a hill overlooking the ruins of their capital city. The fires were out now, and Zephyrian work crews were starting to clean up the damage. "Admiral," Morden said, "how can we ever repay you?" Morrison looked at the old alien. "You don't need to repay us. That's what friends do. We help each other." "But your people came so far. They risked their lives for us." "Yes," Morrison said, "and they would do it again. That's who we are." News of the battle spread quickly across the galaxy. Other alien species heard about the small ships from Earth that had destroyed the mighty Kardash Empire. Some were afraid of the humans. Others were curious. Captain Nina Walsh received a message from a species called the Altarians. They had been attacked by the Kardash 5 years ago and barely escaped. They wanted to meet the humans who had defeated their enemy. "Admiral," Walsh said, "we're getting contact requests from 12 different species. They all want to talk to us." Morrison nodded. "Set up meetings, but make sure they understand. We're not looking for an empire. We're looking for friends." "Admiral." Vexstar was sent back to the Kardash Empire with a message. Any species that attacked peaceful worlds would face the human fleet. The Kardash could choose to be friends or enemies, but they would never again attack innocent people without consequences. 6 months later, Zephyria Prime was green again. The Zephyrians had rebuilt their cities, but now they had human friends helping them. Human engineers had taught them how to make better shields. Human doctors had shared new medicines. Elder Morden stood in his new garden, watching human and Zephyrian children play together. The flowers were blooming again, and the air was clean. The dark days of the Kardash attack seemed like a bad dream. Dr. Stone joined him, carrying a cup of Zephyrian tea. "The children are learning each other's languages," he said. Morden smiled. "Good, the galaxy is safer when people understand each other." In space above the planet, human ships patrolled alongside new Zephyrian defense vessels. The peaceful species had learned that sometimes, to protect peace, you had to be ready for war. The human fleet had gone home, but they left behind a promise. Earth would always be a friend to those who needed help. And in the galaxy, everyone now knew that humans kept their promises.